You already knew something was wrong, not with the world, with you. Some quiet, persistent pressure has been building in the architecture of your inner life. A suffocating weight that you cannot quite name, a hollow resonance echoing through your daily routines, a creeping fatigue that sleep does not cure. You look around at the compliant majority, the smiling faces moving through their prescribed scripts, and you feel a profound alienation, a sudden, terrifying realization that you are performing a role you never auditioned for. This is not a malfunction. This is the beginning of the most formidable crucible you will ever enter. The modern man has been conditioned to fear his own depths, to compress his vitality into a sanitized, acceptable box, and in doing so, he has severed himself from his sovereign power. This video is the excavation of that lost power. We are going to dismantle the artificial constructs that have kept you docile, and we are going to descend into the very shadows you have spent your entire life running from. If you already feel the truth of this within your bones, if you recognize the undeniable pull of the unconscious demanding your attention, leave the number 11 in the comments right now. This is not a meaningless engagement. It is a declaration of quantum coherence, a public severing from the hive mind, a signal to the universe that you are ready to stop pretending. Phase 1 of this descent is confronting the curse of the virtuous man. Society has sold you a lie, wrapped in moral superiority. You have been taught that to be good is to be harmless, that to be righteous is to be devoid of darkness. But this forced virtue is exactly what is suffocating your soul. The nice guy, the accommodating friend, the perpetually agreeable man, these are not badges of honor. They are the symptoms of a ravenous despair. You push your rage, your hostility, and your raw, unbridled ambition down into the basement of your psyche, locking the door and throwing away the key, hoping that by ignoring these dangerous impulses, they will simply disappear. But the unconscious does not forget. It collects your denied fragments, brewing a toxic catastrophe of resentment and loneliness. You look at men who command rooms, men who move through the world with an unapologetic magnetism, and you feel a sharp, undeniable sting of envy. You tell yourself they are arrogant, but deep down, you know they possess a vitality that you have sacrificed on the altar of social approval. To reclaim that vitality, you must first survive phase 2, the confrontation with the persona. The persona is the voluntary eraser of the soul. It is the mask you wear to navigate the external world, the polite smile you offer to people you despise, the careful curation of your opinions to avoid conflict. Carl Jung warned us that whoever builds his life entirely upon the persona is destined for an existence of profound emptiness. You have confused who you are with what the world expects you to be. Every time you swallow your authentic truth to keep the peace, you chip away at your own architecture. You become a hollow shell, a ghost haunting your own life. The persona was meant to be a tool, a temporary garment you put on to interact with society, but you have forgotten how to take it off. You wear it to bed, you wear it in your quietest moments, you wear it until the skin of your true self suffocates beneath it. To rip this mask away requires a level of psychological violence that most men are too cowardly to endure. It requires you to look in the mirror and admit how much of your life is a performance. If you are willing to strip away the illusion, to step out of the comforting warmth of compliance and into the cold, harsh light of reality, leave the number 520 in the comments. This number represents the frequency of absolute truth, a numerical anchor for those who refuse to live an unlived life. Once the mask begins to crack, you will inevitably enter phase 3, the mirror of projection. You will begin to notice that the things that trigger the most intense hostility in you, the traits you violently condemn in others, are actually the very fragments of yourself that you have banished to the shadow. You hate the selfish man because you are terrified of your own unexpressed desires. You despise the arrogant man because you have forbidden yourself from acknowledging your own worth. The world is nothing but a grand, terrifying mirror, reflecting your own unintegrated darkness back at you. Every judgment you cast is a confession of your own psychological fragmentation. Jung taught us that until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate. You are not a victim of circumstance. You are a victim of your own refusal to look inward. You project your unhealed wounds onto your partners, your colleagues, your enemies, demanding that they change so you do not have to. But the awakened man, the sovereign individual, recognizes that the external world is a distraction. The real war, the only war that matters, is being waged inside your own mind. As you pull these projections back, as you own the hostility and the greed and the lust that you previously denied, you transition into phase 4, discovering the gold concealed in the darkness. The shadow is not merely a repository for evil, it is the source of all authentic power. Your aggression, when integrated, becomes the formidable boundary that protects your peace. Your selfishness, when integrated, becomes the self-respect that prevents others from exploiting you. Your dark, taboo impulses, when excavated from the mud of shame, transform into a raw, undeniable magnetism. This is the great secret that the compliant collective will never understand. They believe that by avoiding the darkness, they are preserving their light. But a tree whose branches reach to heaven must have roots that descend into hell. You cannot possess true, unwavering authority without integrating the monster within you. You must become dangerous, not to harm others, but to command the respect of your own soul. The man who is incapable of destruction is not peaceful. He is merely harmless. And a harmless man is a victim waiting to happen. If you are committing right now to integrating your inner monster, to mining the gold from your own darkness, leave the number 727 in the comments. This is the ultimate marker of spiritual alignment and psychological sovereignty. As you wield this new, formidable power, you will encounter phase 5, the anima. This is the feminine dimension within the masculine psyche, the gateway to your deepest emotional reservoirs and intuitive wisdom. The modern man suppresses his anima, viewing any connection to his inner emotional landscape as a weakness, a vulnerability to be crushed. But this suppression leads to a brittle, fragile masculinity, a rigid exterior that snaps under the slightest pressure. To integrate the anima is to marry your relentless, driving logic with a profound, terrifying intuition. It is to understand that true power is not just the ability to conquer, but the capacity to feel, to create, to connect with the profound mysteries of existence. When the anima is ignored, she turns toxic, manifesting as moody outbursts, irrational jealousies, and a desperate, suffocating need for validation from external women. But when she is integrated, she becomes your muse, your connection to the divine, the wellspring of your most profound creative vitality. This internal marriage triggers phase 6, the phenomenon of synchronicity. As your internal architecture aligns, the external world begins to bend to your new frequency. You will begin to experience terrifyingly precise coincidences, events that defy the laws of probability, moments where the universe seems to be speaking directly to your unconscious. This is quantum coherence in action. It is the undeniable proof that your internal psychological state dictates the fabric of your external reality. The sleeping majority writes off these moments as mere chance, but you will know better. You will understand that as you integrate your shadow and your anima, as you dismantle the false persona and step into your sovereign power, the universe organizes itself around your new, terrifying clarity. People will look at you differently. Opportunities will manifest with an eerie precision. You will move through the world not as a passive observer, but as a dynamic force of nature, shaping reality through the sheer gravity of your integrated psyche. But this brings us to phase 7, the grueling, lifelong journey of individuation. Individuation is not a destination, it is a relentless, exhausting, exhilarating process of becoming whole. It is the conscious decision to separate yourself from the herd, to stop outsourcing your morality to the culture, and to forge your own values in the fires of your own experience. It is a path of profound loneliness, because the moment you stop playing by the rules of the collective will turn on you. They will call you selfish, they will call you crazy, they will try to shame you back into compliance. You must be prepared to stand alone in the void, armed with nothing but the truth of your own integrated soul. This is the price of sovereignty. You cannot be both universally liked and genuinely powerful. You must choose. And this leads directly to Phase 8, the ultimate danger of knowledge without integration. You have heard the theories. You understand the concepts of the shadow, the persona, the anima, and synchronicity. But intellectual understanding is a trap. It gives you the illusion of progress while keeping you safely insulated from the actual, terrifying work of transformation. To possess this knowledge and do nothing with it is a psychological crime. It will breed a new, more sophisticated form of despair, a cynical arrogance where you look down on the sleeping masses while remaining secretly paralyzed by your own cowardice. You must take action. You must implement the shadow journal, writing down your darkest, most shameful impulses without censorship or judgment. You must execute a persona audit, ruthlessly identifying every relationship and environment where you are compromising your truth for comfort. You must engage in the anima dialogue, sitting in silence and allowing your suppressed emotional depths to finally speak. This is not a philosophical exercise. This is a matter of psychological survival. You are standing at a precipice. Behind you is the life you have always known, the hollow, performative, exhausting existence of the virtuous, suppressed man. It is comfortable, it is safe, and it will slowly kill your soul. In front of you is the abyss of the unknown, the terrifying, exhilarating descent into your own darkness, the only path that leads to genuine, unshakable power. You cannot unhear what you have heard today. The pressure in your inner architecture has been named. The choice is now entirely yours. You can close this video, return to your distractions, put the mask back on, and go back to sleep. Or you can step into the fire. Leave the number 111 in the comments if you are choosing not to go back to sleep, if you are making the binding commitment to excavate your shadow and claim your sovereign destiny. At Carl Jung Philosophy, we go where most content will not. We do not deal in platitudes. We deal in the brutal, liberating truth of the human psyche. If you are ready to separate from the compliant majority, if you are ready to do the actual work of individuation, subscribe and stay with the work. The world does not need more nice guys. It needs formidable, integrated men who have conquered their own darkness. The excavation has begun.